Welcome back to Raccoon Shitty, where nothing can stop it now. In a moment, I'll reveal the irrefutable truth in my own personal way, and all of you will be the very first witnesses. I'm Frank, back again with my co-host Thomas, as we take a look at Capcom's first feature-length CGI Resident Evil film, Resident Evil Degeneration. And now let's get into the history of the project and details of release. After their first foray into animated films with Biohazard 4D Executor, the short film made for theme parks, Capcom took the leap in 2008, releasing a full-length animated movie based in the canon of the Resident Evil universe. And to this day, it is canon.
If it's canon, why hasn't Dr. Cameron showed back up?
Oh, I said this one is canon.
Oh, never mind. I'm an idiot.
Although I'm still waiting on Angela Miller to be revealed as Leon's wife from Requiem.
Well, who else would it be?
Yeah, who else could it be?
He's had no other love interests, ever.
Never.
He's basically asexual.
Can you imagine how pissed off the fans would be if they did reveal that it was Angela Miller?
That'd be really funny. We know you all been waiting to find out who his wife is. Do you know that one movie from 2008?
No? Well, now you have to go buy it and watch it because we've made her a part of the games now.
And they take it off streaming services, so then people have to go buy it.
Go buy the Blu-ray, losers.
We're releasing a special collector's edition. It's $350. It has a Leon silicone mask that you can wear. Sony first approached Capcom around 2006 and wanted to create an animated Resident Evil film. Capcom agreed to the project, but production didn't really start on it until a year later in 2007, when director Makoto Kamiya, screenwriter Shotaro Suga, and Digital Frontier, which is the company who animated the film, came on board the project.
Makoto Kamiya was a special effects supervisor for Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack. What a title.
What's King Ghidorah?
Stop. King Ghidorah.
Oh, King Ghidorah, I see.
Yeah. Like you didn't know what I meant the first time.
I did not, actually.
Sinking of Japan and the live-action adaptation of Gantz, as well as the show called Kingdom? I don't know. But he's got a long history of VFX work.
Interesting that he's the director.
Yeah, which I think was also the case with Biohazard 4D Executor. I think he was more of like a VFX or animation guy, not like a director.
I guess it would make more sense because this is animated movies. So I guess if you have like a expertise in animation or like behind the scenes stuff, it might help.
Writer Shotaro Suga, who's since passed away, is best known for his work on multiple series, including Blood Plus, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, and best known probably for the 2007 series Darker Than Black. It says that Suga also wrote The Darkside Chronicles and Resident Evil 6.
Oh.
At least one of the writers on it. He's not the only writer, but his name is listed first.
Maybe he's head writer then?
Yeah.
And Digital Frontier is no stranger to the Resident Evil franchise, having worked on the 2002 remake of Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Resident Evil 3 Remake. They've also worked on dozens of other game series, like Yakuza, Super Smash Bros., Tekken, Metal Gear, and Mario. And usually they work making cutscenes. This also wasn't their first foray into animated films, having made a few before, including Pokemon Heroes, Latios, and Latios. Capcom producer Hiroyuki Kobayashi created an outline for the film, at which point director Kamiya and the writers turned it into a full script for the film. The inclusion of Claire in the film was at the request of Sony, and specific restrictions were made for her to be wearing red clothing and to have a ponytail, which was probably so that fans could easily recognize who it is. And the film takes place between Resident Evil 4 and 5. While designing new characters for the film, they found that the drawings were hard to translate from 2D to 3D, so they instead found real-life actors with traits they wanted the characters to have, and scanned their faces in, and then modeled it after that.
I think it's funny that it was Sony pushing for Claire to be added, because it just further contributes to this running theory or running gag in the community that Capcom hates Claire and hates really all of its women protagonists.
Who
Like,
doesn't, am I right, fellas?
yeah, right. Claire's last game was Code Veronica in the year 2000. And I mean, she's going to be in one of the light gun games coming up. But like, as far as new games go, she's not going to be a protagonist again for another 7 years.
It's kind of crazy that she's so popular within the fandom because she hasn't been in many games.
It goes back to being crazy that they haven't put her in more games.
Has she been in more than Jill?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Jill is the protagonist of 1, 3, and Revelations. And then she's technically playable in 5, with the DLC and the Mercenaries mode.
Mm-hmm.
Claire's in 2, Code Veronica, Revelations 2. I guess Jill beats her out by 1, and if you count the remake of 3, well, then you'd also have to count the remake of 1 and 2. I think Jill edges her out, but it's a pretty small number of games for the two of them when you look at like Leon or Chris by comparison.
Can't believe Jill edges Claire.
Okay.
Well, that's because Leon and Chris are cool. They're cool guys.
Chris is so not cool.
Leon's cool.
Leon was cool, but now he's too popular, and now he's not cool anymore. I have to be a contrarian. No, I like Leon too. I think Chris is just too... I don't know. He's more interesting now than he used to be.
He just always seemed to be like generic action guy.
Yeah. And I like him now when he's more like grizzled and cynical and kind of an asshole. Like the way he behaved in Village was just perfect asshole behavior. Like he really does feel like he's got a personality now.
That boulder punching asshole.
Yeah. I hope they do that in one of the Paul W.S. Anderson movies.
That'd be really funny.
Wentworth Miller punching a boulder.
It's his audition tape for The Flash. And timeline-wise, this film takes place between Resident Evil 4 and 5. Which, honestly, watching it, I thought it took place between 2 and 4.
It makes more sense to me that it takes place after 4 because Leon seems to be more knowledgeable about zombies, which, I mean, yeah, after Raccoon City he would be, but I don't know. There's something about the way that he behaves in this movie that seems more collected, more professional. Because I always got the impression that between 2 and 4, there wasn't anything. Like, he was a Secret Service agent, but he was just doing normal Secret Service agent or special agent stuff. I didn't think he was fighting any zombies between. But when you look at him in this movie, he's like the expert.
Yeah, I guess thinking of it like that, it does make sense that it would be after 4, because he's definitely, like, not your average soldier. Which I couldn't see him being like he is in this movie after 2. I mean, I think the only reason I thought it was right after 2 is because they went very hard on, like, the Raccoon City incident at the beginning.
Yeah. And then they don't bring up Las Plagas at all.
Yeah, and it's all the T-virus and the G-virus. While designing new characters for the film, Capcom found that the drawings that they were making were very hard to translate from 2D to 3D. So they instead found real-life actors with the traits they wanted for the characters and scanned their faces in and modeled the characters after that. And it actually took them 6 months to do all the modeling for the film, including making costumes for the characters. Which I believe I read they also scanned in like real clothes to put on the characters, which is kind of funny.
I had heard around the time that RE2 remake was coming out that like the method they were using to put objects into the game instead of just hand modeling things were to scan objects. Like that cheeseburger, I think, was scanned in from a real-life cheeseburger.
That's awesome. I hope that's true. I know I've heard of that too, and you can definitely like see it in, I feel like, Village a lot, because they have a lot of just like stuff in the background that isn't used, and I feel like that one you can tell. But I the cheeseburger, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I started hearing that around the time RE2 remake came out. And, like, when I had heard it, I was looking back at, like, 7. And, like, 7 is a lot of, like... It feels very photorealistic at times. Like, especially the stuff around the house. Like, the kitchens just are filled with utensils and pots and pans and all this shit that I couldn't imagine somebody taking the time to hand model.
Yeah, that's true. Like, that one's a house. There's all, like, the random shit that you find in a house. Like, pictures, just, like, random junk all over. I can see them doing that. I think that might be a common tactic now in a lot of games, but probably just depends. Because at least Resident Evil is like looks realistic. I couldn't imagine them scanning them in if it was like Mario.
Right.
It's a real life. They use real life bricks, but they're just yellow. And the evil boss character in the film, Curtis, had a tough design process, going through several design revisions. After they had settled on a design, they actually made a real life model of it and then scanned it in to convert it to 3D, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and photos of the model do exist. I might even put them as part of the promotional post for this episode. Pretty cool looking design.
There were more than 13... Well, I said 13,000. There were more than 1,300 shots in the film, so they wanted to make the lighting and composition as simple as possible. So they focused more time on the lighting than the compositing. They would focus on making sure that the original image looked good, and then they would render one frame. If that looked good, then they would render the rest of the shot.
Which to me just sounds like how all animation works. But I have also heard horror stories. Like most recently, I think the Spider-Verse animators were complaining that Lord and Miller would make them re-render entire scenes after they would make one small change instead of figuring it out before they went through final renders.
It's so crazy. They're like, oh, I really can't get the full grasp of the change from a 2-second clip. Can you re-render the whole 5-minute scene? And they're like, no, we want to change it again.
No wonder it's taken so long to get those movies.
And they ended up using 50 PCs and 200 CPUs to do the rendering for this film, which I thought was interesting. It's not GPUs. I guess maybe GPUs weren't as powerful back then.
It could also just be a translation thing, too, and maybe they just mean, like, processors or... I don't know. Because this is all coming from a Japanese article from DFX.co. Oh, it's Digital Foundry. It's from Digital Frontier's website.
Digital Foundry. Japanese Digital Foundry.
Japanese Richard Ledbetter. Resident Evil Degeneration is pushing the best graphics we've ever seen. I don't know why I'm changing to...
I don't even know what accent that is. It's like French and...
No. It's supposed to be English.
Fringlish.
Yeah, I'm not computer savvy enough to know what the CPU or the GPU would do in this process and which one matters more. So I'm just gonna withdraw from that.
And they flew in 7 actors to Japan to film for about 10 days, using body and face capture to get their performance of the scene for animation purposes.
Japanese singer Anna Tsuchiya sang the ending theme for the film, Guilty. In an interview with Leon's voice actor, it was pointed out that RE4 Leon was sarcastic and confident, while in this film, he's cold and controlled. He pointed out that the character did feel a little different, but it wasn't intentional by him, as he was limited by the already set-in-stone physical performance from the Japanese motion capture performers, and he was essentially just dubbing over someone else's performance. I did notice, like, this film's got decent lip-syncing in English, which means they probably would have had to lip-sync the whole thing for Japanese, too, right? Probably have two different versions of this animated film with different lip-syncing depending on the language.
I think they probably do have 2 different versions. I think there was some parts, though, where I was seeing it was a little bit off. Like a millisecond behind.
Right.
And I almost wanted to break my TV. But I did feel like he was... I think that's kind of partly why I didn't think this was also after Resident Evil 4. Because he did seem like he seemed a bit more cold in this. And he's like kind of sarcastic in 4.
Yeah, that is true. I guess it's just like you can only do so much when the physical performance is indicating something else, you know?
Yeah, because his facial expression was very like stoic throughout the movie. He wasn't showing a lot of emotion. So it'd be kind of weird to have him be like, ooh.
And it's questionable as to how much of that was the technology versus the character
yeah, that's true.
development. But I mean, I guess it could also be like through the events of RE4, he's matured a bit. And then in 6, he's not, sarcastic like he was in RE4 either.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it doesn't say it's in 2005. And 4 was in 2004, I think, canonically.
Yeah, this is
like
a year after. Yeah.
I guess you could change a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been off screen, I guess, because by the end of 4, he still seems pretty goofy. I mean, not super goofy, but like it's a goofy game, and he's very cheesy.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
I mean, even the end with him and Ashley on the jet ski, it's going back to the real life actors thing that we mentioned earlier. Capcom scanned in the face of model Jameson Matthews for this new iteration of Leon. And he would also appear in future games as the face model of Leon and future CG movies.
I think he might be replaced in Death Island, but I'm pretty sure it's the same in the 6. The same as in this one.
Interesting.
Same face. I could be wrong, though. Nokia and Capcom collaborated on a game that was loosely based on Resident Evil Degeneration. It released on the N-Gage mobile gaming service on December 18th, 2008, with an iPhone version releasing on May 10th, 2009. N-Gage was a service available on some Nokia phones that offered games for trial and purchase in a single phone app. Although an ambitious project, only 49 games would be released on it before it was shut down after less than 2 years. And looking at a list of the games they had on this, it's actually kind of impressive. The Sims 3, Prince of Persia, Need for Speed Undercover, Guitar Hero World Tour, Age of Empires 3. I'm sure that playing it on a 2.5-inch screen was shitty, but it seems like an ahead-of-its-time idea considering how massive mobile gaming is today. Despite Leon and Claire sharing the protagonist role, only Leon was playable in this game, which took place during the airport section of the film. It also included enemies not present in the film, like Cerberuses and Tyrants. And it also looks like there's 2 versions of the game. There's a 2D version of the game and a 3D version of the game. While the 2D version isn't anything to write home about, it's basically just pointing a gun and shooting while a music track loops in the background. The 3D version looks pretty impressive. It's basically like a lower quality RE4 mobile port with whole levels to play through, which is said to take about 3 hours. And if you're interested, you can actually see whole playthroughs of it on YouTube. And it actually looks, for a mobile game, pretty impressive, especially for, 2008? Not too bad. And now we'll move on to the state of movies and Resident Evil at the time of release. Other films that were releasing around this time included Eagle Eye, Beverly Hills Chihuahua, High School Musical 3 Senior Year, Saw 5, and Max Payne, which was another video game movie.
Yeah, a terrible video game movie, I might add.
Mark Wahlberg.
I've seen it. It's really bad.
Well, I've seen Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and it's really good. And as for Resident Evil, there was no games in this period that we haven't already covered. So we're not going to get any game info until the next episode.
And now we move on to the plot synopsis and discussion. So, in November 2005, Harvardville Airport falls victim to a T-virus attack, both from inside the terminal and from an airliner that crashes into it. TerraSave worker Claire Redfield coincidentally runs into Senator Ron Davis, a vocal opponent of TerraSave, and they're forced to hide in the VIP lounge with Ronnie, niece of a TerraSave employee who, by the way, is never named.
Ant. It's just Ant.
It's literally just Ant in the credits. By nightfall, the airport has been locked down by the local Special Response Team, SRT, and the U.S. Army, aiding evacuated survivors. Officers Angela Miller and Greg Glenn are joined by Federal Agent Leon S. Kennedy. Claire's group is rescued, however, they are forced to leave behind the infected Greg. Trucks from pharmaceutical corporation Will Pharma arrive to administer a T-virus vaccine they created, but are destroyed by explosives. Leon reveals that a terrorist has threatened to unleash the T-virus throughout the U.S. should government officials involved in its creation not be revealed by midnight.
That's so much of the movie. I think it's like the first half hour at least.
That is the first half hour, yeah. I took notes. The airport section ends exactly like 30 minutes in. At least like the senator gets out at the 30-minute mark, which was like their main objective.
I thought that I thought like the whole movie was in the airport.
Yeah, I was expecting that too. That's why I wrote it down in my notes. I'm like, we're only a half hour in, and I thought this was going to be the whole movie's like location. So I was pretty surprised.
I liked the opening. It's kind of like just a normal day, and then there's just random zombies.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the virus actually be administered by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I guess maybe that would have given away the twist with the secret villain. I think he was the one responsible for it in the airport, and that Curtis was a red herring. I think
it got a little confusing at the end there.
Yeah,
they were like, "We're gonna I'm gonna explain everything that happened in like 30 seconds, and I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
Maybe this plot synopsis will clear that up for us. But I agree. I did like the opening. The news montage was cool, although it kind of bothers me when movies do this because sometimes they'll use it in a way that doesn't actually make sense. Like it's a POV montage of news as you're like flipping through different channels, which is cool, and it's a good way of getting some clunky or boring exposition out of the way. But it's also like skipping forward in time by months or years. When in
Hmm.
reality, if you're flipping through the channels, that wouldn't happen, of course. They also say that there's over 1 million bioterror victims a year now, which is insane.
Yeah, that's a lot.
This reminds me of the Metal Gear universe, where as soon as the Metal Gears are introduced, like Metal Gear Solid 2, I think, is the one that establishes, like, yeah, every government has their own Metal Gear, every terrorist organization has their own Metal Gear, and even NGOs have their own Metal Gears. Like philanthropic organizations have Metal Gears now. And it's like the same in Resident Evil. Just swap the word Metal Gear with bioterrorism and it's basically the same. It's really funny. It's like they have this one thing and they just use it all the time in every facet of their lives. Every level of government, every organization has some kind of bio weapon.
I mean, it is kind of funny to think about. I guess could you, if you were trying to attribute that or compare it to something in real life, it'd kind of be like AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
So
right now that's definitely the case. Everyone's like, we have AI, we have AI, we have we have AI too. Oh, we have it. And anyone who doesn't have it seems like they're being left in the dust.
it's not like a direct comparison, but it's the closest thing I could think of off the top of my head.
I think the real analog is supposed to be, in both circumstances, nuclear weapons. But, like, it is something that changes with the times. Like, as we progress, it's like, I'm sure even in the 90s, it was like, oh, yeah, we have a computerized, like, defense grid. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure the goalpost for whatever the leading bleeding edge tech is was moving, and every company and nation on the earth was chasing after whatever that is. Like drones are another example. Like drones are basically Metal Gears in the sense that they're like these pieces of technology, and it's like if you don't have them, you're kind of fucked. And it's like that's how the Houthis are able to fight and win battles against the United States military because they're just good at using drones. Same with the Ukraine.
I guess it is just kind of funny because they always seem to talk about whatever Resident Evil project it is. They always seem to talk about like there's another T virus sample, but then if not a billion, if a million people are dying a year to bioterrorism, then I'm pretty sure that like a lot of people have to have these T virus, G virus, or Las Plagas samples.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know about G. I'd like to think G is a little more
Hard to
well
get.
harder to get, but yeah, the T virus is everywhere. I mean, all you'd have to do is scoop up a zombie off the streets, and then couldn't you just get it from their bloodstream or something? But I guess it also doesn't clarify how many of these are from the like viruses from the series
Hmm.
versus like I don't know some virus made in a lab that would exist in real life, you know,
Hmm.
or I don't know. Would bioterrorism also be like chemical warfare? Maybe, or maybe that's a different category,
Um, I
like
don't.
using phosphorus gas or mustard gas or something.
If it was against non-combatants, maybe. I don't think
I
that
don't know.
just using it in like well, phosphorus is against the Geneva Conventions, I think, even
Well, yeah,
though
but
places still use
yeah,
it. But
well, yeah,
uh,
we use it. Pretty sure
it's
we
because it
used it
sounds
in
cool.
Iraq. We get the introduction of TerraSave, which becomes pretty important for Claire when she pops up again in her own game, Revelations 2. It's the organization that she's still working for in that game, and it plays a key part in the story. And I just found it very intriguing that this entire faction or company, whatever, is introduced here in one of the CG movies.
That and Tricell later too,
Yeah.
because
And
they're
I
big
mean,
in 5.
with Tricell, they probably were already designing Tricell for 5 is my guess, because 5 came out a year after this, so they must have been in development already.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe they talked to the people making this and said, hey, can you put a Tricell thing in here? But you're right, it is the first appearance of Tricell, which obviously plays a big role in 5 and would be referenced in games past that too. So it's pretty cool to see things like that pop up.
At the beginning, when they have the outbreak, I was not expecting a whole ass plane to just crash into the terminal.
Oh yeah, that was fucking nuts.
The ground started shaking. I'm like, oh, like what's happening? And they turned, there's the plane. I'm like, I laughed out loud because I was just so shocked by it. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's cool
And I think that's part of why I'm confused on like who the perpetrator is, because it's like it's in an airplane, which is like a closed off environment. And I don't remember, I think the guy might have mentioned Curtis or Downing by name when he's getting the stewardess. I'd have to rewatch that scene to remember.
I think it was Downing.
Yeah, okay. So
or was it the senator?
Oh, maybe it was. Oh, he's voiced by the guy infected on the plane is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal.
Spider-Man.
Not catch that the first time. Yeah, he says Downing. He says it's urgent.
Okay.
I reach Frederick Downing from Will Pharma. So how did this guy get infected? So I guess it is Downing, right? Not Curtis. That's just a red herring. Curtis was not the one who started the outbreak in the airport, because Downing's in the airport, and Downing must have infected that guy at some point.
Well, Curtis couldn't have infected him because he's on a plane, and the plane that crashes in. So he couldn't have done that one.
Yeah, but I agree. That was a cool set piece. It also got me thinking, like, a Resident Evil campaign that's at least partially set within an airport would be pretty cool. At the very least, like a Dead Rising area based on an airport would be pretty fun.
I think I read somewhere that some of these games, or not games, some of these CGI movies take ideas for games that they had and kind of reuse them. So like they did have an idea of having a game or part of a game in an airport, but then they didn't use it. So then they kind of put it in this movie.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea of it. I think it would be really cool to play in because there's like really big wide open areas, but then also there's really small areas in the airport too.
Yeah.
Which can be kind of fun.
You know, a lot of variety too, and depending on how big the airport is, you could do a whole game in there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the closest I can think of is that Left 4 Dead campaign from the first Left 4 Dead, where those 4 survivors, they don't start in the airport, but I think that's like the final chapter, and then the runway escape is how they get out of it.
Yeah, I would have liked to see the whole thing, or at least more of it, take place in the airport. But I guess it does make sense that they had such a big response to it, because it is an airport. Like,
oh yeah, that would have been the end of everything. But I don't know. I mean, somehow that guy was infected on the plane, so I don't know how the fuck that happened. Where was he coming from? He wasn't on the plane with Ronnie and her aunt, right? That wouldn't make any sense, because
no, because they were already on the ground.
They're already on the ground, and that plane is the one that crashes later. So, I mean, was he coming from India too? Because they mentioned T-virus, terrorists using the T-virus in India, and that they're also using the T-virus vaccine, like on a test group in India. I don't know. Maybe he's one of the people from the test group. That's probably what it is.
I think they did say that he was like selling the virus later. Looking at the plot synopsis, it says that Downing was selling the virus to potential customers while researching the vaccine. So I guess it could just be a terrorist group that was committing terror, because they were talking about the general who had the T-virus and was like, oh, I'm going to release it.
Right.
So I guess that could just be it, because the India one was also bioterrorism.
Okay.
So I guess we'll just chalk it up to somehow someone had the T-virus.
I guess we'll never know. Wait, do they say what flight?
It would make sense if it was coming from India, but because that was where they said they had a big outbreak.
And it's where they said they were testing the vaccine, because they weren't allowed to test the vaccine in the U.S. thanks to TerraSave protesting them. Yeah, the guy on the plane gives the stewardess a letter for Downing, and that's the last we see of him. But they don't say where the plane is coming from, so I don't know. He could be one of General Grande's guys. I think it's Grande.
That's what I was about to say. Maybe it's like a letter to him or something.
Like maybe that's the middleman he's supposed to meet at the end of the film. When he thinks he's
Oh,
meeting him, and then at the end it's actually Leon and Claire.
could be,
And,
yeah.
what is her name? I already forgot.
Angela.
Angela. Yeah.
Angela.
Speaking of Angela, God, she's dumb. Uh, like, she's really dense. She goes in there with Greg and Leon into the airport, and she sees a body laying down, and her first instinct is to help it get off the ground and lift it up because she thinks she's helping this person. And it's like, you should not be grabbing every body that you see on the ground. You're in a zombie outbreak. I'm really surprised she didn't get bit there.
I kind of, part of me was like, oh, like this lady, and then Greg, or was it Glenn?
No, it was Greg.
It was Greg.
Glenn's his last name, as confusing as that is.
Angela and Greg, they do act kind of stupidly, but also you have to think that this isn't something that happens every day. So if you kind of like think of it in that aspect, then they're not used to what Leon's used to. They don't know like what they're getting into.
I guess that's true, but you would like be briefed on the situation at least. I don't
I
know.
would
Like
think,
I
yeah.
understand they're like trying to, rescue people. That's their job. So you see somebody collapsed on the ground, you want to help them. But I just thought that was really, really brainless. No pun intended.
It's better than Leon being like, yeah, you have to shoot them in the head, and then Greg's like, I'm gonna just
I'm gonna body shot with every bullet I have. Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna no scope him.
And I like that comes back to bite him in the ass. And also, I'm pretty sure the zombie that almost bites Greg was the one that Angela shot in the knee.
Yeah, it was.
So it's like that was great too, because it's like in real time you're seeing the consequences of if you don't shoot them in the head, they will be a problem later. So that was cool. I like the whole sequence with Greg, Angela, and Leon. I was pretty immersed in that. The whole airport sequence I think is pretty well done. Like it doesn't look amazing by today's standards, but I found myself pretty engrossed. It looked
I
good enough.
so like the first couple shots of this with the them showing like the airport, I did think it kind of looked like a like flight sim gameplay, but I thought that for the most part the stuff at night looked pretty good, and then stuff during the daytime didn't look as good. I'm not sure if it was the lighting, but
Yeah, no, I agree.
there was some shots that actually surprised me, and I was like, this actually kind of looks like it's just in a normal movie. I think also the character models were a little bit not as good as I would have liked in some
That's
parts.
that's what took me out of it the most. Definitely the character models, and then yeah, the daytime lighting scenes are a little rougher. Anytime there's really bright lighting, and I think part of that is because of the character models. Because I don't think in 2008 they really figured out how to like do diffused lighting on skin and hair and stuff like that. And so the lighting and the reflections don't really act the way they would on a real person's hair or skin. It's kind of like that 2003 Hulk movie. It's like when
Oh
he's
god.
out in the sun, he's like a bright solid green because they don't really know how to like put the layers beneath the skin to like soak up the light properly. I don't know enough terms to articulate it correctly, but you know what I'm talking about. Like if you look at the 2008 Hulk movie or 2012's versus '03, there's like a big gap.
Yeah.
And so in 2008, for a film of this budget too, with a company that's mostly done like anime and video game cutscenes, they're not there yet.
But I kind of was expecting it to look worse, so I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I like for the most part I wasn't taken out of it. Like I was watching this like it was a real movie, and it's got problems as a real movie, but I wasn't distracted by the fact that it looks like a CG video game cutscene.
What did you think about the senator?
I wish he was even more of an asshole.
That's I texted you. I said this has one of my favorite characters in it. The senator he's just such a big piece of shit. It's like hard not to like him.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. He sees a child crying, for an incident that he's like partially responsible for creating. And he's like, I hate kids. They're a real pain in the ass. It's like, yeah, great. That's a real American politician right there.
And unfortunately,
It also kept reminding me of Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising, who unfortunately is a much better version of this guy. I mean, definitely different than this guy, because Senator Armstrong is, one, based as fuck, and two, completely insane. And this guy is just like a sleazeball trying to make some money. But they do look similar. They've got the same hairline. They've got the same pinstriped black suit. I think they might even both have a gold tie. Huh. Did Digital Frontier work on Metal Gear Rising?
maybe. Unfortunately, I felt like the senator was pretty true to life.
Yeah.
Like, back then, he might have seemed over the top, but now it's like, yeah, this is just kind of accurate.
This is just how they post on Twitter. Like Ted Cruz mocking his constituents for freezing to death while he's in Cancun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did work on Metal Gear Rising.
Maybe they were just like,
Yeah, let's just do that senator, but make him buffer and taller, and his hairline's even worse. Oh, you've got to play that game someday, man.
I think I have it on Xbox. I think they gave it away for free.
It was bothering me in the airport, though, that Claire didn't have a gun. Like, she's tossed Leon's gun,
Oh, and she gave it back.
but then she gives it back.
Yeah.
And it's like, Greg was already bitten by that point. Why didn't you just take one of his guns? He's clearly not going to need it in a few minutes.
I really liked when actually throughout this whole movie, I feel like they just have Leon in scenes and he'd just be like standing there. Just really weirdly.
And he is completely like perpendicular to the ground. It is a 90-degree angle. He is so stiff. He needs to relax a little bit.
Like when they
and again, I don't know how much of that is the technology versus like the character the character's personality.
Like when they first are, they're like, oh, they had some government guys coming here, and then it just pans out and he's just standing there like, he doesn't say anything, and they're like, oh yeah, you're the guy, and he's like, yes, I'm the guy.
That's all I got until the end of the airport. We see Huntington, which is pretty cool.
Hunnigan.
Oh, fuck. Whoops.
Fake fan.
Also, we have a T-virus vaccine established as canon in 2008, which is pretty crazy because that's kind of the crux of Requiem. Like, isn't Elpis just... I mean, I guess Elpis is more than just a vaccine. It's a cure for, like, all of it, but still.
It was interesting that they did introduce that as a plot point on what I thought... Every time I saw it, I thought, Wii Pharmacy. Like, W-I-I. But it was called... Or, sorry, Wii Pharma. But it was Will Pharma. There was a nice callback to Leon and Claire first meeting in RE2 as well.
Oh, the get down thing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
then Claire going, do we have any weapons I can use? And they hand her a red and white umbrella.
Yeah, that was it was funny. I was a little confused on how TerraSave had enough pull or raised enough concern to stop Will Pharma from testing the vaccine in the States. Because the reason why Claire gets all sad is because they say that, oh, well, we don't have as much of the vaccine as we should because we couldn't test in the United States. We had to go test in India and other places like that. And so we don't have any vaccine here. I was a little confused by that.
They kind of introduced TerraSave and then kind of glossed over it throughout the whole movie. And then they kind of like looped back to it at the end.
Yeah, from what I gather, it's like a Red Cross type organization, but for bioterror. Because everything's got a bioterror equivalent in this universe. That's all I got for this paragraph.
I think the only other thing I'll say is I didn't quite like, or maybe not like, but I wasn't used to this Leon voice. I feel like it didn't really fit him.
Well, I don't agree with that at all. This is the same guy who plays him in RE4, the original RE4, which is what I've played. You've only played the remakes, so...
Yeah, so that's probably
I understand why you think that, but I think he fits pretty well.
I just feel like it also could just be the way he's portrayed in this as, like, kind of his stoic, like, generic action character voice. He doesn't show off much emotion, so I think it just didn't resonate as well with me.
Right.
but I'm good to move on, I think.
Okay, read away.
So next, Claire accompanies Will Pharma head researcher Frederick Downing to their Harvard Villa research facility. Downing reveals plans to make a G-virus vaccine next, angering Claire because of its danger. Excusing himself, Downing leaves Claire in his office. Claire informs Leanne about what Downing said and learns that he and Angela have found the house of her brother Curtis on fire. Which they completely cut it out in the first one, but they say that Curtis is like a terrorist or something, and Angela's like, that's my brother.
Well, I don't even know if he's a terrorist necessarily. Curtis was like arrested for threatening Will Pharma or something. He's like a political prisoner, I guess, or a protester that went too far, and so Ron Davis and Will Pharma had him arrested.
Oh, okay.
He's not like a terrorist. Like, he's not, blowing up buildings and shit. At least not at this point.
But he is on their radar because Claire's like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, I don't remember if he's with TerraSave or if he was like, let me double check the wiki. Curtis Miller, R.E.
It felt like there was a lot of things that were just a bit confusing in this. Or maybe it was a bit too complicated for its own good.
I don't know if it was too complicated. I think it was confusing, though, and I think it's because they do introduce a lot of concepts and they don't make all of the connections clear. Mm-hmm. Pun not intended. It's like, you have Curtis Miller, and it says here in the wiki that he was in TerraSave. He was an activist in TerraSave. And that's how Claire recognizes him. And also he was on the news and stuff. But, like, it's not clear what was Curtis and what was Downing. It's not super clear how TerraSave put the heat on Will Pharma and the government to stop vaccine testing. And, maybe I guess if I just paid more attention or read the wiki, I could figure that out, but it should have been clearer in the film.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's all...
I was going to say, I also found it interesting that Roger Craig Smith plays Curtis Miller in this movie.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog, but also Chris. He plays Chris Redfield.
Oh, yeah.
In 5.
My mind just goes to Sonic the Hedgehog before the literal other character in the franchise. But yeah, I have to finish this. So Downing phones Claire, warning her about a man who has activated a time bomb. Claire spots Curtis in the building's central garden, then the bomb detonates.
Sorry, I didn't realize you weren't.
No, it's all good.
Why would Downing tell Claire about the G-virus?
I don't know. Especially once we find out. Well, I guess he's not all bad because he does want to find vaccines for them, but he's also like selling them.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. He's definitely a bad guy. He's selling them so that they have more people they can sell the vaccine to.
That's true,
which is a plot point that Capcom would recycle in Dead Rising 2, by the way.
Why did he show her that? I don't know.
Because he's an idiot. It's like, hey, I know I'm the bad guy of the film, and this is a secret laboratory, and I work here, and you don't, but I'm going to invite you into my office and explain to you how all this works, and, oh yeah, you know that, like, virus that's way more dangerous than the regular zombie virus, the one that turns you into the Thing from the John Carpenter movie? Well, we actually have a sample of it somehow in the lab. And I'm just going to tell you about it, even though you are my enemy, both publicly and, with my secret motives. You're even more of an enemy.
I wonder if that sample of the G virus, because they say that he bought on the black market, so I wonder if it's the one that Hunk goes back to get. And, what's that called? No.
Yeah, what is it called?
Fourth Survivor?
Fourth Survivor, yeah. I think so. Yeah. No, you could be right. I mean, by this point, Umbrella is bankrupt. They don't exist. So, Hunk brought it back for Umbrella, but what the Umbrella person did with it once they got it, who knows? They definitely could have been selling it on the black market.
Or did Ada get hers too?
I don't think Ada ever gets the G virus.
Or is the one that Ada drops the one that Hunk gets?
I don't remember.
That might be what it is. Because I remember she drops hers down the giant shaft. Or whatever.
Like the garbage chute area? I'm a little fuzzy on that.
No,
It's been a few years since I
it's at
played
the
2.
well in the remake at least. They're on that big like walkway in between the three areas, and it's collapsing. And then I think it
Oh,
falls. There's like a
yes.
giant, like in
Yes,
this one, how
yes.
there's the giant hole in the ground.
Yeah, that giant hole, by the way, was baffling. When that bomb went off, I thought the time bomb was going to make, like an explosion, sure, but like when Claire opens her eyes again, 90% of the facility is gone. It's like a fucking nuke went off.
That facility was weird to me because, well, first of all, I felt like this section dragged a little bit
Oh,
for
completely.
me. It was like 10 minutes too long, and they had this weird like panning shot of this building for like a minute and a half, and it's like magical music, and I'm like, why are we doing like it's a cool building, I guess, but like
Y-
why are we doing this?
yeah, there's a lot in the like last 2/3 of this where they hold on a shot for way too long, and I just start to get uncomfortable. And even the design of this, it's very reminiscent of like just the Umbrella Labs that they already have
Hmm.
from previous games. You've got the big pillar in the center with all the struts connecting to it, and it's all symmetrical, or not symmetrical, but like equal distribution of the struts if you have 3 of them. Everything's starch white and shiny. It looks like the labs from Attack of the Clones. Yeah, no, I don't know. It was weird.
There was another thing that the movie did kept doing that kind of made me confused. It felt like for a lot of Leon's lines, they wouldn't let him have breathing room to say them, so he'd be saying them really fast. But then other characters would have like a second after or like in between something. And it felt really weird like they were rushing his lines or like rushing through his stuff and wouldn't let what happens to him or what he says hang for a moment.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too, and I noticed the opposite, where sometimes characters would talk and they'd get their lines out, and instead of feeling rushed, they'd finish, and then their blank expression would just be there for an extra second or two. And I think in both cases it's the same thing, which ties back into the history of the project. The fact that this is dubbing over the animation that was already done for the Japanese dub. Like they
Mm.
reanimated the lip syncing, but this is still working with the same amount of time that the Japanese performer took to say their lines.
Yeah. So
Eh,
maybe Leon's voice actor is just rushing, or his Japanese voice actor was talking faster than the English one.
That's what it's got to be, I think.
They did have that weird that weird story that Angela talks about where when she joined the police force, she rescued a kid from drowning, and then she's like, and then 3 people got injured pulling me out of the water. And I just thought that was kind of funny. I don't remember, maybe it was a flood or something, but I just didn't understand how 3 people could be injured fishing her out of the water.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand how Leon doesn't get injured later pulling her. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, let's move on here. Leon and Angela arrive at the facility and split up. Leon reunites with Claire while Angela reunites with Curtis, who reveals the American government's involvement in covering up Raccoon City's destruction.
Boom, boom, boom.
Having injected himself with the G virus, he mutates and kills a squad of Marines. Leon sees Angela as the atrium garden begins to fall apart, with the wreckage temporarily crushing Curtis. The computer system then incinerates the building to prevent the viruses from spreading. Angela and Leon jump into a pool of water to avoid being burned alive. After shooting a glass partition to avoid drowning, the two find themselves in an underground area. Meanwhile, Claire makes it to the command center, attempting to halt a biohazard alarm and open the building. However, the detection of Curtis triggers an outbreak containment failsafe in which the laboratory falls into the abyss to trap any infection. Okay.
I
Uh,
love how all the games, well, not all of them, but a lot of them have this giant hole in the earth that goes down like a mile.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying about like the design of this lab. It's like got the same white walls and like these struts and like these bottomless voids. Uh, Whoever's making these labs must be making a fortune.
They're like, you had $20 billion to dig this giant hole. And honestly, you can't say no because, like, how many places can do that?
Yeah. Who's gonna do that, and who's gonna keep it discreet? I thought it was kind of lazy that the G virus, at least at the beginning, his final form looks really cool, and different. But when he first injects himself with the G virus, he ends up looking exactly like Birkin's first transformation, and I just thought that was kind of lazy.
I thought it was funny. It was like his whole body was different, and then it was just his head like glued on there.
But I mean, like, that's not too different from Birkin's first form when Leon and or Claire fight him in the like room with all the pipes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, wouldn't the G virus mutate randomly and like affect people differently? I don't know.
I wonder if it depends on where it's injected.
Maybe. But the giant eyeball is exactly where it was on Birkin. I don't know. I just thought like they could have been more creative. And I guess maybe they came up with the final form and worked backwards, because I don't see any 3D models because I don't see any statues of the first form of Curtis floating around online, just the final one. I don't know. It's a small thing. I just wish they could have been a little more creative with that.
I think they did it on purpose to show a kind of specific visual language of the G virus, so that maybe if someone wasn't paying attention, they'd be like, "Oh, it's the G virus."
Yeah, that's true too. Plus, also, I guess fan service for fans of RE2.
I was shocked highlighting this to see who was reading what, because there's like the first half hour is in one paragraph, and then the other hour is in like 5 paragraphs.
Yeah. And like, I don't really have a lot to say for this chunk of the plot synopsis, because it's just action.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, I started to get kind of bored of it when Curtis got back up and continued smashing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because this feels like, and because of how it looks especially, it's like the cutscenes from a video game. But I would much rather be playing those sequences instead of watching them play out. Like, I'd rather fight G-Virus Curtis than watch him kill Marines for 15 minutes.
It also didn't help that they didn't actually like try and fight him, which I thought was a little weird. Leon throws a knife in his shoulder eye or whatever. But then that's the extent of them like actually fighting him, and they just kind of stand by while all these Marines are slaughtered.
Yeah. I think this is the part where Leon... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I would have liked to see them take a more hands-on approach and like actually kind of fight the G-Virus, which made me wonder, like, or just kind of think how crazy these things are that they're fighting. Like, even in Resident Evil 2, Claire and Leon, who are like rookies... Leon's a rookie cop, and Claire has some gun training from Chris, and they're fighting this giant G-Virus thing. And then here we have, like, soldiers that just get murdered. And even the main characters aren't even trying to fight him. So I thought it was kind of funny to me.
Yeah, it always escalates. I mean, even just a regular guy would be a lot to fight one-on-one, let alone in groups. But then, once you start introducing things like the Hunters or the Lickers and the Tyrant, and God, the G-Virus is probably the worst, right? I mean, G-Virus or Nemesis. I mean, I can't speak for RE6. I know there's some crazy, huge fucking monsters in that one. But yeah, it kind of gets unfathomable to see the scale in which these normal people with some gun training are going against.
I guess they did kind of hand wave away the fighting, or the lack of fighting, because they're like, oh, you can't shoot or you're going to ignite the whole yard. I forgot about that.
I missed that part.
Because they shoot out that it's something from the sprinklers, and I assume it's like to make everything catch on fire.
Yeah, they say, like, is it something ethanol?
Yeah, Leon's like, it's actually cyanoethanol. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Of course Leon knows.
Yeah, he knows everything. This is also the part where Leon explains that the reason why G. Curtis, which I nicknamed him in my notes,
Gertis
is going after Angela because they have the same blood, and the G-Virus is viewing Angela as a breeding tool, which, one, gross, which is fine.
Why,
Like
why do you
it
think
should be.
Birkin's
It should
going
be.
after Sherry?
Yeah. See, it's gross. I mean, like it's it's a monster. It's like a giant virus monster. It should be gross. But also, that's not how blood works. Like just because they're siblings doesn't mean they're guaranteed to have the same blood type.
Yeah, that's
Which is
true.
Which is what I
guess if they
think
have
he
the
was
same-
trying to say.
I don't know.
Also, I don't think that's ever established with Birkin and Sherry. So this might be something that they've established as canon here, unless I missed something.
I think I remember them. I think it was in. Because I've heard people talk about this before, and I think it was in the original Resident Evil 2, and then I think it was in dialogue, and then I think in the remake it might have been in like a note or something.
Okay. Yeah. Because I
I'd
was
have
like,
to look again,
I don't
but-
ever remember Annette bringing that up. I don't know. It's weird, it's creepy, it's gross, but I mean, I'm okay with all of that. It's just, you gotta suspend your disbelief a little bit, which, I mean, we're talking about a giant eyeball monster, so
In the
that
zombie
really,
movie.
yeah, that really shouldn't be too hard to do. It kind of reminds me how Requiem said, oh, the Wesker clones, blah, 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 Spencer's children, blood transferring memories from one
Oh yeah.
body to another. And it's like, well, that's not how that works either. But whatever. It's like a fun sci-fi fantasy thing. Like that's what Assassin's Creed does, the genetic memory thing.
No, it's real. Assassin's Creed is a documentary. I don't think I have anything really to say about this though.
Oh, Leon makes out with Angela. I think that
Oh.
happens in this part.
Underwater.
Yeah, Angela and Leon jump into a pool of water to avoid being burned alive. They make out. Leon makes out with a
He
woman.
gives her oxygen.
No, they kiss. He's not asexual.
He's saving her life.
He made out with a woman.
That made me think though, like, how does that work underwater? Because like, you're still gonna get water in your mouth.
Well, not if you create a really tight seal. They're kissing really, really hard.
The suction of their lips.
That's why I think they're making out. I don't think he's giving her oxygen.
Why would they be? She was unconscious.
No, she
He was giving her
wasn't.
oxygen. Yeah, she was.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah, she had her eyes closed, and she's like limp.
All right, I'm pulling up the movie again.
Why do you want
Don't-
Leon to be a molester?
I don't. That's the point. I don't. I just want him to be a guy who's kissed a woman at least once in his life.
It's probably like an hour in.
I'm going to YouTube. It's too hard to find. Too much of this movie takes place in the same like environments, and so it's really hard to scrub through and find which shots look different. Okay, she falls into the water. Her eyes are closed. Her mouth is open. Her eyes immediately open when he kisses her.
'Cause
So
oxygen.
he didn't instantly give her enough air to wake up from being unconscious and from drowning.
She felt the lips of an angel.
Well, interpret that however you want. The point is, Leon had lip-on-lip contact with a woman, which, contradicts everything the community has painted him to be as a
And
person.
the next one, he's gonna kiss Chris
Yeah, well, I'm sure Chris would rather he make out with his sister instead.
while he watches. He's
Yeah,
giving
well,
him
he has
tips.
to make sure that the Redfield bloodline continues. You know about that, right?
I know the jokes. I don't know where it started from though.
It was just shit posters, man.
Okay.
It was like a green tag store. It was like, Leon, you have to fuck my sister. And then it became a whole thing where it's like Chris is chasing Leon across the planet to force
that
him
would be
to
funny.
fuck his sister. But
Hey,
yeah.
and Requiem, he's like, hey, I heard you were working with Sherry. That's why I sent my team to save you. You're supposed to be with my sister right now?
Did you know that Sherry in Requiem is voiced by the same person who voices her in 6?
Yeah.
I didn't know that until today.
It's because I actually played the game.
Fuck off. I'll get there. Before this series goes live, I'm gonna propose this right now. We should do co-op live stream playthroughs of 5 and 6. I know you don't want to play through 6 again, but
5 isn't bad. I want to see a reaction to 6, though. Curtis attacks them, seeing Leon as a threat and Angela as a mate. Curtis regains control, telling Angela to run before losing himself again. You better lose yourself in the music the moment you want it. Eminem. As sections of the lab are ejected, Leon and Angela evade Curtis, only to hang from a broken catwalk. About to fall, Curtis grabs a hold of Angela's leg, but is shot by Leon and falls to his death. In the aftermath, Claire accuses Senator Davis of orchestrating everything to improve Will Pharma's stock. Leon reveals Davis is innocent, making Claire realize that Downing is the actual mastermind of the T vaccine's destruction, the bombing of the research building, and the recent bioterrorism incidents. Meanwhile, Downing talks to General Grande, a client of his eager to buy the T-virus now that the news reports have revealed its potential. Oh, so he wasn't working with him already. Or was he?
No, he was. I guess he wasn't, but Grande was mentioned at the beginning of the film as somebody who's like on a government watch list in the States.
I feel like he was trying to buy it earlier in the movie, though. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Downing talks to John Grande, a client of his, eager to buy the T-virus now that the news reports have revealed its potential, though he warns against using the G-virus. Which I don't think he has, the G-virus at this point.
No.
Waiting for a contact to sell Will Farmer information to, Downing mistakes a card containing Leon and Claire for his contact, and he is later arrested by the police for his crimes. I don't know if I'd say he's later arrested. It's like 5 seconds later.
Well, that's technically later.
For some reason, I was expecting when they have the reveal of Claire's like, oh my god, I thought they were going to have Downing pull off a mask and have it like be Wesker.
I had the same thought. I also thought he was going to be Wesker for a second. I'm so glad he wasn't.
It would have been really funny though.
Yeah, it would have been.
He takes off his mask and just starts talking different. I'm going to show Chris now that I got the vaccine.
That's a good Wesker. Leon must have super strength. Like, people give Chris a lot of credit for his boulder punching, but Leon is hanging upside down from a ladder, or from a railing, whatever, and he's holding Angela, who is not only a full-grown woman strapped to the gills with armor and guns, but on top of that, he's also carrying the weight of this G-virus monster, which must weigh like half a ton at least.
At least a couple hundred, like 300 pounds at least.
No, 300? Try fucking 800.
Well, like minimum 300.
I weigh 300. Say. I'm not the size of a fucking G-virus monster.
Giant Frank.
Come on.
10-foot tall Frank.
And then Angela's in the middle, and I don't know how she's not getting her leg ripped off. Or getting her whole body ripped in half.
That'd be kind of funny.
It was crazy. I thought she was actually going to die there just because of the physics of, like, you have the G-virus, you have G2, basically. G2 hanging off your fucking ankle. You are not going to get out of this. But then Leon shoots one bullet, and then she's okay.
He's holding her with one arm, too.
Yes!
Which is insane. And when they show his leg, it's, like, barely wrapped around the railing.
It's insane. Plus, they're getting flung around for a little while there, too.
Oh, yeah, after.
The most unbelievable strength. Like, I think this might canonically make Leon the strongest protagonist. Unless anything in the later movies contradicts it. Or, makes one of the other protagonists look stronger.
Have you seen the size of the boulder?
Yes, I have. But he's just...
Look here. Look, listen.
I don't think the boulder is heavier than the G-virus monster.
I think it is.
It's like Leon is holding the Hulk.
How much did Curtis weigh in Resident Evil Degeneration?
Oh, I mean, really. It's huge. RE5 boulder.
Also,
punch.
I thought it was crazy how he just, instead of shooting him in the eye, or like at the tongue that's holding onto her leg, he shoots him in the head. Just not where I thought he was going to shoot him.
No, me neither. Okay, let's see.
The boulder's like 10 times the size of Chris.
Yeah. Okay, I take it back. That is a big, big fucking boulder.
Not to mention, there's also the scene in this Resident Evil 6 where Jake is fighting Ustansnek or whatever the fuck his name is, and he's like he suplexes him. He's like a 15-foot tall giant ass monster.
Well, isn't Jake superpowered because of his lineage?
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I guess maybe he is, but
we'll find out. We're going to be playing 5 and 6 together. It's decided.
It's decided. I need to buy them.
My only other note for this whole movie is that the shot at the end with Leon and Angela staring at each other, holding hands.
We still have two left. We have 2 paragraphs left.
I know, but I don't have anything to say about those.
Well, we still have to read them.
I know, but this is a note about this paragraph.
No, that was at the end.
No, it wasn't. I'm talking about when Leon and Angela are in the lab after the floor shuts.
Oh, okay, never mind.
And they're like holding hands and they're staring at each other in silence because both voice actors finished what they were saying like 10 seconds ago. And they're just staring at each other. And it was so uncomfortable and their faces aren't emoting at all. And I think, again, it goes back to the fact that maybe the Japanese voice actors had more to say or they were taking longer to say it. Because
that was weird.
It was just so uncomfortable.
I was like, okay, you can let go now. And they're just... Yeah. And then Claire's watching on the camera.
Yeah.
She probably was like texting Chris like, bro, Leon's cheating on me.
He's been staring at this woman for 2 minutes, not saying anything.
Between that and his completely perpendicular, just socially awkward standing.
Downing confesses to being a former Umbrella researcher who stole both viruses, escaped prior to the Raccoon City incident, and created his current identity. I don't know about that.
Missed that.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. I mean, how would he have the G virus when... Okay, whatever. Downing used his alias to sell the viruses to potential customers while researching the vaccine. Angela realizes Downing manipulated Curtis, but Claire notes that even though this does not clear his name, he wanted to prevent another Raccoon City just like she, Leon, and Angela do. Okay, so Curtis probably did start the one at the airport, right? Because... Yeah. I guess it does. There's no incentive for Downing to create the one in the airport.
Yeah, and I wouldn't, because why would he do that? Because he was there just chilling. Like, he probably wouldn't want to be in the middle of that.
He was probably there to meet the guy on the plane who was sick, who was probably Grande's contact, who he thinks he's meeting at the end of the movie. Yeah, so I guess that was just a coincidence. Or a red herring, like... trying to draw attention away from Downing himself by using Curtis.
I don't know.
It's a little tenuous.
This is the part where they're like randomly standing over the facility, right? Or is that the next part?
No, that's this one.
Well, first of all, I was confused why Angela was in a whole new outfit and then Leon and Claire were just wearing their same clothes.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's not in uniform is what it is. But I agree, it's weird that Leon and Claire look exactly like they did. What you would assume is like a day later. Yeah.
And then, also I was confused at first. I was like, who is this random baddie just standing on the cliff? And I was like, wait, that's Angela? I think she was trying to rizz up Leon. She's like, I'm going to wear this nice-ass dress and then stand on this windy cliff.
Yeah, well, I mean, she literally... asks him like, hey, do you want to go on a date? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever, I'll go on a date. And then as soon as he walks away from Angela, he turns to Claire and he's like, so what are you up to?
Oh, he's like she's like, yeah, we should do something sometime. He's like, yeah, I'll catch you later. I'm like, bro, you are never seeing this woman again, don't lie.
Until it's revealed that they're actually married.
Right. Your headcanon.
For people who aren't fans of the games, we've talked about it already, but we haven't provided context. In the latest Resident Evil game that came out in March, it's revealed at the end that Leon is wearing... Okay, February, whatever. Leon is wearing a wedding ring under his gloves. And it's revealed in like one of the last cutscenes and in like an out-of-focus shot. And people have gone fucking nuts because Leon's got like, I don't know, 6 different love interests, maybe? Potential love interests.
What if he's like
He could also be gay or bi.
Oh,
nobody's talking about that. He could be married to Chris for all we know.
He could have like a harem though. He could have like 20 wives.
But wouldn't you need another ring for each? I don't know how that works.
No, maybe it just has like 20 different engravings on it.
Sure. I mean, it could be Ada, obviously. It could be Claire. It could be Angela, I suppose. It could be Sherry, which is the grossest theory I've heard. Or Ashley, which is also pretty gross.
That one's not as bad.
I like the theory that it's Hunnigan, who's like his contact, his like Otacon basically over the radio from RE4. Or it could just be someone we've never met. Or it could be the lady from RE6, who I don't even know the name of because I haven't played it.
Harper.
Harper, I do know, is voiced by Laura Bailey, who voices Angela.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Laura Bailey.
Yeah, she's great. She's really good.
There's this part, too, he says, when he's hitting on Claire immediately after shooting down Angela, she's like, do you want to ride? He's got a helicopter, and she goes, no, I got my limousine, and she points to like a normal car, and I'm like, okay, so Claire does not know what a limousine is.
Well, I think she was just making a joke.
She better have, otherwise I think less of her now.
Well, because
you got my limousine over there. It's just a car.
Because I think it's Ronnie's aunt's car.
Ronnie's aunt.
Also, we don't see Ronnie again after the opening.
No, wasn't she there?
No, she's there, but like they kind of paint her to be like an important character, like on the level of Ashley from 4 or Sherry from 2, and it's like we don't see her for 75% of this movie.
Yeah, I thought she'd be a lot more involved. But then at the same time, I thought the whole thing was an airport, so...
Yeah. And I mean, jokes aside, I don't know if Leon was actually hitting on Claire. I think it might have been more of a situation where it's like, hey, I haven't seen you in at least 5 years or 7 years or something. What have you been, what are you doing? Do you want to catch up, or I don't know. But yeah, a nice happy ending for everybody. I mean, Angela's brother is dead, but
her brother is dead, and the man that she just fell in love with doesn't care about her, probably. Meanwhile, news reports reveal Davis has resigned from office over allegations of insider... I don't remember this at all.
Oh, it's the last shot.
Allegations of insider stock trading with the Will Pharma stocks. A newspaper draped over Davis's face reveals that another company, Tricell Incorporated, has offered to purchase the now bankrupt Will Pharma. At this point, Davis is revealed to have been assassinated by Tricell, with the company deleting all of Davis's computer files on Will Pharma and recovering G-virus samples from Curtis's corpse.
Yeah, that first sentence was communicated to us through another news voiceover.
Oh, I must have missed that part.
Yeah, I had to rewind it because I almost missed it too.
It also just kind of looked like he was sleeping.
I thought he was a zombie or something.
Who did it, though?
Also, a member of the U.S. legislation resigning over insider stock trading? That would never happen in real life.
Yeah. They'd be like, oh, I didn't realize this position didn't give me that power.
Nancy Pelosi has, like, her own, like, I don't want to say fan site, because it's clearly not from somebody who likes her, but, like, it tracks every stock trade she makes and then compares it to what happens in that company a few days later.
Yeah, there's whole, like...
Just the most blatant shit.
Based on just doing what she does for her stocks. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. This felt a little forced. I mean, again, I think it goes back to the fact that RE5 is in development. Tricell is a big part of Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
And they're trying to tie it into the game that's coming out next year after the movie. Because
it definitely felt tacked on.
Yeah, because if you're watching this, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what Tricell is. It hasn't been mentioned at all up until this point. We don't know anything about it. We don't know, why they would go to these lengths.
A little bit of a teaser.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. Maybe, I think if they made the movie today, it would be a post-credit scene, but...
Probably, yeah.
Whatever. It's not a big deal.
It completely ruined the movie for me.
Davis dies, which is objectively a good thing. I'm sure he wasn't good for his constituents.
Yeah, but he resigned before that, so now it doesn't matter that he died.
Oh, that's true, yeah. So let's get into, did it work? Did this feel like it fit into the previously established Resident Evil universe?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Compared to the live action ones, which also throw game characters in there. Like putting aside the fact that this is canon and that all the CG stuff is going to be canon going forward, they act like themselves. The story at large feels like a video game. Like you said, this is like something that could have been a game. Like the airport transitioning into the lab absolutely could have been the structure of a Resident Evil game that they just decided to condense into a 90-minute feature instead. And if you really want to, you can beat most of the Resident Evil games in like 5 hours if you're really good and hustle. So it's not that hard to conceive of like just turning what would be a full-length 8 to 10 hour game if you really took your time into something this short. If you're just focusing on what would be like cutscenes. Did the characters feel consistent? I guess we just answered that. Did this film feel like a good addition to the universe and lore as a whole, or is it completely forgettable and not worth watching? I
Mm,
liked it.
yeah, I liked it. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'd ever rewatch it.
No, I wouldn't rewatch it. But it was enjoyable enough. I
Yeah.
think, again, it is canon, and some of this will be referenced in future games, especially TerraSave with Revelations 2, but I believe RE6 also references the events of this movie specifically in some of the emails that Sherry writes to Claire. I had looked that up this morning.
So, as we know, Paul W.S. Anderson has said that, you can't have suspense or anything, and that's why he made his own characters. But I think that this movie kind of proves him a little bit wrong, because here we have a movie with these like established protagonists, but then we still have somewhat interesting side characters that you can make the audience care about. And then that's where you can build like the drama and the tension.
Yeah, I agree. I liked Angela. I liked Ronnie for as little screen time as her and her aunt had. I like Downing. I even like the shitty senator guy. It's like you can absolutely, if you just write it better, have original characters interact with the established cast, and you definitely know that these characters are going to live because they're canon to the games in which they are
Mm-hmm.
still alive. But it doesn't take away from any of the tension, because I did think that Angela was going to die in this movie.
Oh, me
Uh,
too.
I thought that the senator was definitely going to bite it way earlier. I didn't think he was going to make it out of the airport. Um, and I thought Downing was going to get away too. Like I thought that the scenes where they're creating conflict and tension here, that they did work. Like as a whole, I probably wouldn't check the movie out again for a long time. But that's not because it's a bad story. It's just because it feels like you're watching one of the games, and I'd rather be playing the games.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that like this is exactly what I'd want to see in like a live action one, but it's enough of a blueprint to where like if you did some work on it, I think that it kind of proves his idea wrong.
Yeah, no, I agree. Uh, Compared to all three of the Paul W.S. Anderson films that we've discussed on the podcast so far, this is better than all of them. Like, I was more engaged watching this than I was any of those.
And
Like,
it also felt like more of a Resident Evil movie than any of them.
yeah, like, I think when we talked about the first Paul W.S. Anderson movie, I said that it felt like a Resident Evil movie in terms of, like, the structure, like, the environments,
Mm-hmm.
the way that they go from the mansion to the labs, then back to the sewer, then the labs, which is a little out of order, but it's following the template, but it's not really capturing the energy of it. And I thought the second movie did a good job of capturing the energy of like the initial outbreak, and like Nemesis was done really well, but like this, yeah, this feels like it absolutely is a sequel to 4 and to Leon's character and to Claire, and it doesn't feel out of place at all, and it's got the structure and everything on top of that too. So it's already better than the live action ones, I think. Even though it's not perfect, I don't blame the performers themselves. They had to work around some pretty tough constraints, what with the film already being animated for a different language and all that. But yeah, there's definitely something here. Like if this had been like a rough draft for the Hollywood treatment, it would absolutely be watchable.
If he wanted to focus more on these characters that we don't know who can like die, or you could feel tension from them, then just sideline the main characters. Like they don't have to be killed, but like maybe if Leon is the protagonist of the movie, oh, he gets injured and then has to sit on the sidelines while the side characters do it or whatever. Like there's ways to get around that if that's really his main problem.
Also, I mean, we know right from the get-go those live action films are not canon. Like it's already incredibly different from the first game in terms of the details of the characters and the organizations involved in the plot. So you can have game characters die.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, that might have actually been more exciting for that first movie if they had someone like Jill or Chris bite it, because that's not what fans of the game would expect to happen. I'm sure some of them would be pissed, but I'm sure a lot of them would think that it's a pretty fun twist that they weren't expecting. At least that's what I would think. Like, I don't give two shits if it's a one-for-one retelling of the game. I'd rather it just be a good story, and if you can use the characters from the games to make that happen, go for it.
Yeah.
And while we're here, at the time of recording, the teaser trailer to Zach Kreger's Resident Evil film dropped yesterday. And there are no game characters in sight. There's just an original character with what looks like some original zombies or, monsters. And I'm excited because when I look at it, I see a movie that looks good. Like, not just a good horror movie, but I can already tell from the teaser it captures a lot of the vibes of the game and the feeling of playing the game, which is something none of the Paul W.S. Anderson films have managed to do.
Well,
and
this one actually looks like a fucking horror movie.
That's, yeah.
Like, Paul W.S. Anderson movies are not horror movies.
No. When I was watching the teaser, I was thinking a lot of RE7.
Me too.
Because, like, it's a totally new character. We don't see an Umbrella logo anywhere. We don't see any monsters that are familiar to us. To me, it looked a lot like that. And what's interesting about that is I looked online, and in some of my film circles, I read through the comments, and people were excited because, hey, it's a good-looking horror movie from the guy who just did Weapons. And then I went to the Resident Evil subreddit, and I went to Resident Evil Facebook pages and the YouTube comment sections, and it's nothing but just vitriol because people are like, where's Jill? Where's Chris? Where's Umbrella? And it's just like, all these people are like, they're fucking monkeys. They're just like, they just want to see things on screen so they can clap at them.
I mean, I'd be shocked if there wasn't at least some Umbrella reference in this movie.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
I think it's funny that you're talking about these people in the comments who are like, where's Jill? Where's Chris? When, like, Resident Evil 7 was sort of a soft reboot.
Yes.
It featured Chris at the end, and it had like Umbrella a little bit throughout. But like, for the most part, it was an original character, Ethan, and playing through it, you felt like he could die because we don't know who he is. And I mean, technically, spoilers, he does die.
Yeah. No, that's exactly where I was going, and I lost my train of thought. I mean, not all of where I was going, but you're absolutely right. Resident Evil 7 is just like the new Zach Kreger film. It's not the familiar. We have a completely new environment. We're out of Raccoon City. We're in the fucking bayou. We're surrounded by an entirely new kind of monster. Like, there's not a zombie in that game at all. And the bosses are different. The people involved are different. Whether that's the characters or the villains, things only tie back into the larger franchise at the very, very end. Like, mechanically, they're similar. You have the puzzles and the combat and the resource management, but you're right. Like, it's all new. It's all unfamiliar. And you didn't hear people bitching about that when RE7 was coming out.
Well, maybe we weren't in those spaces. I'm sure people were.
I guess that's true, but I remember people being excited for it. Curious, at the very least. But the response that I've seen to the Zach Kreger teaser is just vitriol. Like, just the most rabid, poisonous discourse. And they're just saying that it's going to be the Paul W.S. Anderson film all over again. I don't know what these people want. What do they want? If you want a one-to-one recreation of the game, just play the fucking game.
I think that's part of it because I think that the people who are complaining about this are really just mad that they haven't gotten like a proper good adaptation of the games, because they've had the Anderson films, and then they had Welcome to Raccoon City, which was also not supposed to be very good. So I think that they're kind of like stewing in their self-hatred, and they're like, well, I haven't even gotten a movie of the characters I like, so why am I getting like this random no-name character spin-off movie in name only?
I guess, but at the same time, like, if it's a good movie that captures what Resident Evil is, do you really need the characters there?
I mean, I don't think you do, but
no,
I mean,
know
maybe these people will change their mind once they see it.
They probably will, but
I don't know. People are crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a weird thing with like the video game movies and also with the comic book movies, which is what we covered last season with the DCEU. It's like these fans are like bitching nonstop. They're fucking whiners. Comic book nerds and gamers are just fucking whiners. They can never be pleased or satisfied with something. And they're obsessed with this representation that's one-to-one, whether it's the costumes or the storylines or what have you. And it's like, if it's a better story as a result of changing things or, you know, doing something different, then just be happy that you're getting something new. Like, that's the perspective I'm taking, where it's like, if I want to see the story of RE1, I'd play RE1. I don't know. I don't know how is it satisfying to just see the same exact story that you already know like the back of your hand playing out? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Batman, blah, blah, blah. If like Batman v Superman was exactly like The Dark Knight Returns or something, I would be fucking bored. I would
you
not
know how it plays out.
Yeah, I like, just because, I'm sorry, but it's like jangling keys in front of your face. Just seeing a flesh and blood person wearing a costume from some intellectual property I recognize is not enough to get me excited. It needs to be a good fucking story. It needs to be exciting. And like, we've only seen less than 2 minutes of this film. There's a plot leak going around that I've mostly avoided. I'm trying to not read any of that shit. Who knows how true it is, but
I heard that the whole script was out there.
I've heard that too.
And they were saying after the teaser, it might be confirmed. But I'm not going to look at it because I think it's going to be fun to go in blind.
No, I agree. We should get back on track, but that came out, yesterday.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk about it. Well, hold on. We didn't even get like general thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely like the tone that it's setting because, as I said, it's the Anderson movies are not horror, and I play Resident Evil, well, most of the Resident Evil games for the horror aspect, and it's probably my favorite part of the games. So I think that the fact that this is doing something new in the universe in a horror-focused way seems intriguing to me, and I think that, like, we see a shot of a bunch of arms or like human bodies like coming out of a door, and then we see like this really fat Baron Harkonnen guy in the sewer, and I kind of like that they're doing these special infected zombies and they're not just doing like basic zombies, because it'd be so easy for someone to be like, oh yeah, Resident Evil, that's zombies, and then just have like normal zombies. But it looks like they're kind of doing different stuff with it and making it a little bit unique.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm sure there's going to be some iconic monsters and characters and iconography and stuff in the final film. Like, I think people have already spotted the green herb in the trailer, in like the same pot that it's in the new games. Yeah, I mean, it looks fresh and interesting, and I'm really excited.
I think he did a director's commentary version of the trailer too, or he did an interview about it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to watch it yet though.
Yeah, I don't know if
I heard him. I saw like one thing, and he said like, no, there's not going to be like Nemesis in the movie or something. Which obviously, but
I did hear that, but it's like, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't want Nemesis in it because Nemesis is something that you need like a soldier to fight. This man is not a soldier. He's just some fucking guy who's like, yeah, my car broke down. If they had Nemesis in it and he fought it and like killed the Nemesis, I think I'd hate the movie. If he has to run from Nemesis, then okay, but like,
I think that thing with all the legs and stuff, or the hands and the legs coming out of the door, it might be like the Rat King from Last of Us 2.
Yeah, that one would be interesting because, I mean, we haven't seen the whole thing, but it doesn't feel that much like Resident Evil. So it'll be interesting to see like what that final design is.
All right, we got to close this episode out.
I know it's going on way longer than I thought it would. So we're moving on to the aftermath of release after our tangent on the trailer. Going back to Degeneration, on Rotten Tomatoes, it had a critic score of 67% and an audience score of 57%. It didn't have a Metacritic score or a cinema score because it didn't premiere in theaters. I think I'm kind of surprised that the audience score is that low.
Yeah, me too. I don't know, maybe people just had higher expectations or they were just so distracted by the 2008 CGI.
I can see like the 67 is. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. It's almost 70.
Yeah.
I'd say it's like. I'd probably put it maybe a little bit. I'd put like a 70 even, but I don't think it's a horrible score for it.
And I was shocked to see that it even had a critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Because it didn't release in theaters, as you said. We don't have a budget for the movie. We don't have domestic opening weekend. There's no domestic gross because it didn't release here. There's no international gross, but it did release in a limited theatrical run where it made $403,117. And then, additionally, it reportedly earned $11.2 million from home release sales.
Yeah, I think while doing research, I found that it did come out in theaters in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it was like a one
this...
weekend only kind of thing.
Right, and then from then on out, it was just straight to DVD.
I mean, if I had to guess, it probably made its budget back because they wanted to make more. So
yeah, that's what I would say too. Like, 11.2 million is not bad, and again, they made this thing in a year. They made it in a year. They started in 2007. They put it out in 2008. It's in Japan and in the U.S. Maybe other dubs too. I don't know how many different languages this thing was dubbed in and presumably lip-synced in. But when I looked up the voice actor for Curtis, I saw like 8 different people for different languages.
I think in the credits I saw English, Japanese, Chinese, French. So, I mean, I think it's in more than just English and Japanese.
Yeah, so I mean, you're right. They made more of them, so it had to have made enough money to justify doing that. But before we watch the next one of these films, we have to return to the W.S. Anderson series with Resident Evil Afterlife. And next week we'll be joined by a special guest, so stay tuned.